Hustle culture told you to move fast, push through, and stay consistent. But what if that's the exact reason why your work feels mechanical? You keep showing up for everyone, but not for yourself. And somewhere along the way, your life stopped feeling like yours. In this part one of a special series, we'll be breaking down 5 popular motivational mantras that sound smart, but often lead you further away from your dreams, your peace, and the creative freedom you've been working so hard for. If that's you, this might be the rest you didn't know you needed. Welcome to Your Creative Reset, a podcast for creatives who are just tired of all the hustle. It's time to create differently with purpose, wisdom, and creativity. By grace, not grind. I'm your host, Danex. Now close those 16 open tabs because your reset starts now. We're now on episode 4 of our podcast, and for this one, I also would like to start a quick series that I'm calling Before the Brand, Build the Person. Kasi when you build your personal brand, it creates more opportunities sa'yo for your career, for your work, for your business, for yourself. And I strongly believe that before you're able to build your brand, you have to build the person inside first. That's why I'm starting this quick series. This isn't just another mindset series. This is a reset, especially for those of us who've been grinding, who've been working so hard, being productive online, trying to build, but privately, you know that you're being pulled apart. So over the next few episodes, we're going to unlearn some of the mantras, the mindset, and the metrics hustle culture has taught us. I'd like to relearn what it actually looks like to create from a place of clarity, wholeness, wisdom, and purpose. We're starting with the most common lies wrapped in nice-sounding advice, the motivational mantras. I'm sure hindi na bago yon sa inyo. You've heard it all before. Those motivational reels, viral advice, content creators telling you how they made their 6 figures in 30 days and how you can too. Do it scared, start before you're ready, keep showing up, and a lot more things. Maybe some of them work for a while, but now you're tired, overwhelmed, burned out, but you're still here. You're still working hard, still pushing, but deep inside, alam mo, you're disconnected already, you're scattered, you're shattered. But you're trying to learn because alam mo sa sarili mo na meron pang hindi nagkiklik. Deep down, you know something's off and you can't just quite name it yet. That's why for this first part of our series, Before the Brand, Build the Person, I want to take our conversation a little deeper. Let's break down some of the beliefs and motivational phrases and mantras we've been told to live by. And finally, unpack the truth underneath. Yung truth na hindi lang basta viral, but vital. Truths that may sound different from what you've heard. But itong truth na to, this is exactly what you've been craving for. So let's get to the 5 motivational mantras that malfunction. You've probably seen this everywhere. The phrase that says, start before you're ready. This pushes you to take action instead of overthinking. Kaya okay din tong phrase na to. It's in fact a favorite among entrepreneurs and creators. And in some cases, nakakatulong talaga siya because it pushes you to take action instead of overthinking, overplanning. It's all about courage, doing it scared, and building the momentum and riding on that momentum. However, if you're always starting things before you're grounded in who you are and why you're doing them, it leads to scattered energy and unfinished ideas. Imaginein mo na lang launching a rocket ship without any planning or preparation. Sasabog talaga yun, di ba? I just remember myself signing up for an expensive mastermind before, way back, couple of years ago. It's a high-ticket program that I wasn't even aligned with. And ang galing talaga nung kausap ko eh. So talagang magaling talaga siya sa sales. So I didn't even know what I wanted to build during that time. Pero sige lang, go. I hoarded courses na hindi ko naman tinapos. I joined communities left and right. In fact, paid communities to Months later, I had a bunch of materials that I don't know what to do with. And because everyone around me says start messy, I did. And man, it was a total mess. Not because everyone is doing it raw means you should. What it reveals is how we are so afraid of missing our window. We think if we miss an opportunity, this opportunity might not come again. And we do not realize that discernment is what keeps us from building something that eventually we will walk away from. So that's the danger of starting before you're ready. A coach once told me, yun yung second motivational phrase natin, clarity comes from action. It gets you moving and it keeps you from analysis paralysis, which I truly hate. I'm all for making a decision fast. So, okay yun. Clarity comes from action. Sige, let's do it. But when you start chasing clarity through constant activity, wherein you try everything, launch an offer, change your niche, update your brand, pivot ka ng pivot, not because you're trying to realign things, but because you're hoping that momentum will lead to meaning. Kaya mo ginagawa yung mga bagay na yun kahit unclear pa talaga sa'yo. This also, think of those 30-day challenge to your first 6 or 7 figures or launch a high-ticket offer in 21 days or less, yung mga trends online na nakikita natin. They promise that if you just act fast enough, follow their formula, and clarity will follow you. Even yung income then will come next. But for many creatives, it doesn't happen that way. You know what happens? At first, it will work. But when you try to repeat the process and do it again, it doesn't work na. It leads to more chaos instead of having the clarity. What happens is, you've built things you weren't ready to carry, and you've sold things you weren't sure about. So, you end up more confused than when you started. Because clarity doesn't just come from doing. It comes from discerning. It comes from wisdom talaga. And sometimes, the most courageous action isn't just launching fast. It's pausing long enough to ask, is this really mine to build? Here's another popular phrase I hear from one of the communities I've joined way before. Done is better than perfect. There's also a fitness program that I joined before na progress is better than perfection. It's a favorite among creatives and entrepreneurs who struggle with overthinking because it pushes you to stop polishing endlessly na talagang sakit ng mga creatives yan. Yung magpaplano tapos i-revise ng i-revise, diba? Final.jpg. Ganun yung nangyayari. And endlessly, we just do the work. Kaya, done is better than perfect. Totoo naman yun. But when you start shipping things just to tick the box, even if they're not aligned with who you are or what you really wanted to be known for, you risk creating from pressure, not purpose. You risk creating just for mere performance than purpose. It becomes about speed and visibility, not substance or integrity or even quality. So what you're creating is just noise. It's just fluff. You know, at times, I realize this is how I work kasi output-driven ako as a person. I like getting things done, having a strong D in my DISC profile. So if you know, you know. I love results. But sometimes, finishing becomes the goal for me already, even when the work no longer feels meaningful. I've released things not because I believed in them, but because I just wanted it done for my checklist, crossed off, out of the way. And while it got finished, it didn't feel fulfilling. Nangyari din to sa akin kapag sobrang dami na ng project. So, para matapos na lang to total, yung deadline din naman, malapit na. So, that's why nakaka-drain talaga yung ganong behavior. And I'd like to tell you, productivity without purpose is just performance. You don't need to be slower. You just need to be more honest about why you're finishing what you're finishing. Let me say that again. Productivity without purpose is just performance. Now, who are you performing for? The fourth one is one of my favorites. Discipline is greater than motivation. Why? Because motivation comes and goes. Diba? Lalo na sa mga moody, dun sa may mga araw talaga that you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, tamad na tamad ka. And it really happens, especially if, hormones kicks in. Discipline helps you stay consistent, especially on the days when inspiration doesn't show up. It's marketed as the backbone of success. And in many ways, totoo yun. Na talagang discipline, kailangan mo yun kapag wala ka ng motivation. Pero dahil nakafocus ka sa goal mo, you still need to do the things that you need to do. However, when discipline becomes your default coping mechanism, you start confusing emotional disconnection for strength. Dito na yung kailangan mo na lang kasing gawin. You stop checking in with yourself. You stop asking why you're doing what you're doing, and you just keep doing it because that's the plan. You normalize routine over relationship with yourself, your craft, and even with God. Kasi ito yung kailangan mong gawin. And you're trying to prove na kahit hindi ka inspired gawin yung isang bagay, but because you were able to build discipline along the way, gagawin mo pa din siya. Just to give you a quick example on what I'm trying to say. I tried doing 75 hard. For those of you who knows that viral discipline challenge, no? I followed everything for 45 days straight. When I started that challenge, I said to myself na I wanted to finish something hard. Yun yung motivation ko. Gusto kong simulan naman yung isang bagay at tapusin naman siya. So I read 10 pages, worked out twice, tracked my water, took the photo. Not because I felt deeply connected to the process, but kasi sabi ko gusto ko. But around day 45, I realized I wasn't growing. I was just obeying a checklist. Di ko na nga maalala yung mga binabasa ko eh. In fact, finishing 10 pages nakakatulog ako kasi hindi talaga ako mabasang tao. I wasn't becoming more disciplined. Ang nangyari sa akin, I was becoming numb. That's when I knew I wasn't being consistent out of purpose anymore. I was just afraid of feeling like a failure when I stopped. Dun mo makikita na, was I able to build discipline? Yes, 45 days yun, di ba? Sabi nila, for you to create a habit, dapat gagawin mo 21 days straight. Inagawa ko yung checklist na yun in 45 days. Alam nyo kaya ako nag-stop? Because I felt na para na akong robot. Ginagawa ko na lang siya because kailangan ko siyang gawin kasi sabi ko gusto ko siyang gawin. So I stopped. This is how I learned that discipline isn't supposed to turn you into a machine. It's supposed to form you, not flatten you. It's not about what you finish. It's about what you're becoming in the process or who you are becoming in the process. That's why discipline is greater than motivation. Yes, it's true, but discipline should not turn you into a machine. Last but not the least, don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Battle cry to ng hustle culture. It sounds like grit, like discipline, like this is what it takes to make it in a world where tired is treated like a badge of honor. Itong mantra na to, it feels like a proof na you're doing what it takes dahil gusto mo yung isang bagay. But you know what? Slowly, you start romanticizing overwork. You tell yourself that running on caffeine, skipping sleep, and doing just one more thing before bed is what success demands. Kailangan mong paghihirapan para umasenso ka. And you call it passion. But really, it's depletion. You glorify the grind and you ignore the cost. There was a season in my life na talagang ganito yung grind ko. Talagang puyat kung puyat. Post ako ng client work in progress sa gabi na para ba siyang flex. Pero alam mo, I'd like to project that I am dedicated in what I do. But the truth, I wasn't present. I wasn't well. Pagod na pagod ako. I was silently burning out. I was chasing deadlines and dopamines instead of peace and purpose. I wasn't building something sustainable. I was surviving on fumes. You know guys, there's a difference between perseverance and pushing past your limits just to prove something. Our body isn't a barrier to our dreams. Pag pagod ka na, pagod ka na. It's part of your design. In fact, you weren't created to constantly recover from your own pace. You actually were meant to create from rest, not resentment. Hard work has value. Yes, totoo yun. You have to work hard. But when you're exhaustion, yung parang feeling mo, hindi mo ginawa yung best mo pag hindi ka napagod. That's not commitment anymore. It's self-abandonment. We hear these mantras everywhere. They're on vision boards, in podcasts, in every 10x your life reel na makikita mo sa feeds. Maybe at some point, they did help. Hindi naman natin din-discount yun because nakatulong talaga yun sa atin. They got us moving, got us building, got us out of our heads. They got us to where we are right now. But if you've been living by these motivational phrases and mantras for too long, I also believe that what got you here can never take you further. If you've been running on momentum and you still feel disconnected from your work, your purpose, and even yourself, tapos sinasabi mo sa sarili mo, baka di mo pa nabibigay yung best, baka may hindi ka pa nagagawa, maybe it's not that. It's just that hustle will never meant to carry you this far. You don't need a better routine. What you need is a better rhythm, a better purpose. One that honors your season, one that doesn't chase productivity, but cultivates the person inside. Something that makes space for who you're becoming, not just what you're building. Kasi mas importante yung ikaw kaysa sa kung anong ginagawa mo. So when I was preparing this episode, I just remembered how our Creator never designed us to hustle. Yung hustle na kinagisnan natin na always rushing, always proving, always pushing. Yung pagod na pagod ka na just to feel worthy. That was never ever the original plan. And that reminder led me back to the beginning on how the Lord created human beings. You know what we are created for? To live fruitfully. Not to strive for identity. In fact, may identity na tayo eh. We are created according to His image, according to His likeness. So with intention, with authority, and with purpose, that's how we were created. He didn't create machines just to produce. He didn't create machines to produce. He created image bearers to become stewards. In Genesis 1:28 says, Then God blessed them and said, Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it. Nung kinreate ni God yung mankind, ang una niyang ginawa, binless niya to and gave them something to build. Hindi sinabi dito na pagpaguran mo lahat ng gagawin mo. In fact, everything has already been created for them. Wala na silang kailangan pa kasi they were last to be created. And that order matters. Before there was performance, there was placement. Before there was pressure, there was purpose. You weren't created to chase approval through productivity. You were actually created to carry identity and build from a place of blessing, not burnout. So if you've been measuring your worth by your output, if the mantras that once motivated you are now just making you feel numb, unworthy, feeling worthless, this is your invitation to reset. Before the brand, you build the person. Before your next move, we check our foundation. And we remember that the best kind of fruitfulness, the kind that lasts, it never comes from pressure. It comes from alignment. So if you've been measuring your worth by your results, hindi ganun. Kasi hindi ka kinreate to perform. And if you're wondering, where did hard work and toil even start? Because if we were created for fruitfulness, where did grind come from? That's a bigger conversation. Pero willing akong i-unpack yun inside the Creative Reset Circle. So we have a private Facebook group for creatives like you who are tired of chasing and ready to build from clarity, purpose, and grace. Now, if you also want to just send me an email because that's more your vibe, okay lang din. All the links and the details will be in the episode description. Thank you for having your reset with me. My name is Danex. If this episode helped you, share it with a fellow creative who might need it too. And please, let me know what you think of the episode by leaving a review. Let's keep creating with purpose, wisdom, and creativity, all by grace, not grind. See you on your next Creative Reset.